Support for overt racial discrimination on the left is rising by the day. It's basically universal by now, though hardly anyone ever says anything about it. Just yesterday, HuffPost deputy opinion editor Chloe Angel bragged on Twitter about how the company accepts or rejects writers based on their skin color rather than on what they write. Angel tweeted this: "Month 2 of HuffPo opinion is almost done. Our goals for this month were less than 50% white authors, check. Asian representation that matches or exceeds the U.S. population, check. More trans and non-binary authors, check. But I want to do better." Chloe wants to do better. Larry Elder is a radio host and a wise man, and he joins us tonight. Larry, I didn't think that people were supposed to talk this way, and I didn't think anyone wanted to live in a country where you're judged exclusively on factors you can't control. How did we get here?
Well, that's a good question, because I thought the goal was a colorblind society where people were evaluated based upon the content of their character, not the color of their skin. But I guess that's not the case when it comes to the left. Now, this woman who said that they met all their diversity goals, I understand she's a white female. Does that mean that she's willing to step down in favor of a better qualified or equally qualified female of color?
Or less qualified? No, of course not. And it never is the case. The people who are implementing this are almost, in my experience, exclusively white, but they never put themselves in that same category. They never give up their sinecures, their overpaid low-work jobs to help anybody else. But it's not just. I think it's misleading to say this is just like HuffPo, which is a joke, obviously, or the left, which is already discredited. But this is like universal in corporate America, universal, and academia.
And what's scary about it, Tucker, is I don't want to get on an American airline plane or a Delta airline plane and have a company that chose their pilot based upon racial diversity as opposed to quality. That's the problem with this. You have schools, for example, that are lowering standards in order to achieve diversity. And what's happening is a disproportionately large number of these students that, quote unquote, benefit from lower standards drop out. So you're hurting the very people that you're trying to help. Why don't we do something about improving K through 12 so that kids in the inner city graduate and can read, write, and compute at grade level? But the Democratic Party opposes vouchers, which have been proven to be a much better way of achieving that objective than these government schools that you're mandated to go to.
Well, it's such a deep point, and it almost seems like there's a connection. The more that we do kind of symbolic nonsense like that HuffPo lady is doing, the less time we spend worrying about things that matter, like underperforming schools that actually are hurting people of color, by the way, but nobody seems to care anymore. Why is that?
In Philadelphia, Tucker, 40% of the teachers that have school-age kids have them in private schools, as opposed to only 10% nationwide. That's the equivalent of opening up a restaurant and putting up a sign saying, "Come on in, but don't eat the food."
That is bizarre. So, I mean, this is only about making the ruling class feel good about itself. That seems to be the case. Otherwise, this Chloe woman, who got a sociology degree from Princeton, by the way, which is hilariously meaningless, she'd be quitting, right? If she really cared.
I guess, but really, if the Democrats really cared about black people, what they'd be talking about is the large number of black kids that are raised without fathers. It's about 73% now, and in 1970, the number was 25%. The question is, what's caused it to be a tripling of the percentage of kids, black kids born who were born outside of wedlock? And the answer, in my opinion, Tucker, is the welfare state. What we've done is incentivize women to marry the government. We've allowed men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility, and we're not having a national conversation about that.
I agree with that completely. Larry Elder, I hope to see you more often on the show because it's always great.
Anytime.